What's up everyone, Eber here with Hardware Canucks, and our CES 2019 coverage continues with some awesome looking graphics cards from MSI. But first, a quick shout out from our sponsors, MSI, Fantex, Corsair, Thermaltake, and Razer. Without them, our attendance at the show would not have been possible. Alright, so let's start off with the RTX 2080 Ti Lightning Z, because this is one of the craziest graphics card we've ever encountered. Ever since it was first released, the Lightning series have been one of the fastest, most overclockable, and extreme lineup of graphics cards available. While its official specs will be released a bit later this month, there's a ton of stuff we learned while visiting MSI. Let's start with the exterior because it jumps out right away. The triple slot heatsink shroud is a mix of gold and carbon fiber. Meanwhile, MSI also added an OLED screen on the side so that it can be controlled in MSI's Mystic Lighting software. That's an interesting addition which could really give your extreme PC build a touch of personalization, but I have to wonder if the display output can be flipped in the software for people who use inverted motherboard layouts. Unlike some other OLED screens on components like Asus's new AIOs, this one is monochrome, so you won't be able to add colored logos. Under that shroud is a huge cooler with 8 heat pipes and more than enough capacity to keep the overclocked RTX 2080 Ti core from throttling. I didn't quite like the RGB LED effects on the fans, but that's just my personal opinion. That huge amount of cooling will be needed since MSI is hoping they'll be able to provide a somewhat unlocked VBIOS that would allow the Lightning Z to exceed Nvidia's stock voltage and power limits. Honestly though, if MSI can't pass those limits, the Lightning Z could be a very tough sell, especially since its price is expected to be around $2,000. Moving on with our little tour, there's also voltage read points integrated into the PCB that will come in handy for overclockers. Supposedly, the card is built to provide up to 600 watts of power since the RTX 2080 Ti can consume over 500 watts when overvolted. That's just nuts, guys, and it means that this card has 3 8-pin power connectors. That's right, 3 8-pin power connectors. Meanwhile, the backplate is pretty interesting too, since it also uses carbon fiber, and there's another heat pipe which passes directly under it. With all of these features and such a massive heatsink, the RTX 2080 Ti Lightning Z weighs a ton, so MSI is including an anti-sag bracket that attaches to your case's I/O slots, so a single Lightning will take up 5 slots, and that could make installing a bit challenging. There were also 2 RTX 2060 cards on display that'll be available to buy on January the 15th. Make sure you watch our full review of the RTX 2060 right over here. Okay, so let's start off with the Ventus OC, since it will retail for about the same price, around $350, as Nvidia's Founders Edition. From a spec standpoint, the OC in the name doesn't amount to much since it boost clocks hit 1710 MHz instead of 1680 MHz on the reference version. That won't give you any extra performance. For cooling, the Ventus has a pair of MSI Torx fans, direct contact heat pipes on the cooler, and a great looking backplate. Nice thing about this card is that it doesn't have any RGB, so if you're going for a stealth build, this could be a great addition that doesn't cost more than the Founders Edition. Moving on to the higher-end RTX 2060 Gaming Z, and honestly this card looks amazing with MSI's Tomahawk series motherboards. It'll cost about $25 more than the Ventus card, but it also comes with a boost clock of 1830 MHz, which is 150 MHz higher than the reference spec, and that should get you some in-game performance gains. Even though this card features more stealth black and gray color, MSI has added a few RGB touches, but nothing crazy like some other GPUs on the market. It also gets the full Twin Frozer 7 heatsink design with the Torx 3 fans and the ability to completely turn off the fans when in idle mode. So there you guys have it. What do you think of the Lightning Z? We all know that the RTX 2080 Ti is already super expensive, but would you pay even more for a GPU like this? I really hope that MSI can get an unlocked BIOS for it so overclocking won't be an issue. But anyways, stay tuned for more coverage from CES 2019. I'm Eber with HardwareCanucks signing off, and we'll see you in the next one.